Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
For so many years, he was known as White Boy Rick. Tonight, he's free and on his way back to Metro Detroit. The defenders reveal why he's coming back here and the line he won't cross once he's in Southeast Michigan. Hank?
Storm damage, wild winds creating big headaches for families here in Dearborn Heights. Help Me Hank coming to the rescue tonight.
And the local police chief suspended over offensive tweets is met with protests as he returns to work. It's been about a month and a half maybe since those controversial social media posts came to light.
That led Shelby Township to put Chief Robert Shalide on leave and then suspend him. Tonight, he's back on the job, and several protesters have showed up to voice their opposition to that.
Jason Colthorpe is there live tonight. Jason, it seems like this protest just keeps growing.
Well, the plan was, Kim, for other groups to join this protest outside the township offices, and then when they had a huge group, they were going to start marching at 7 o'clock. Well, if you just take a look behind me, the march started early. Somebody was grumbling that it wasn't supposed to start until 7, but somebody decided to start marching, and they took over Van Dyke. It's kind of left police in the lurch. They've tried to close down traffic in both directions. There's no traffic coming this way, but they're out here to protest Chief Shalide being back on the job. His first day was actually Friday, but today they're here to make their voices heard.
Black Lives Matter!
Following Shelby Township Police Chief Robert Shalide's return to the job Friday,
No justice, no peace!
protesters returned to Van Dyke Avenue in front of township offices Monday. Shalide served a 30-day unpaid suspension for posting offensive comments on social media under a fake name about protests and rioting. In weeks past, protesters have numbered around 70
Don't even get that thing near my face.
and have often clashed with counter-protesters.
Back off 6 feet, ma'am.
There to support police.
Our street! Hey, hey!
And that was the only time we've seen any violence break out at one of these protests, what you just saw there, which was a man shoving a water bottle in a young lady's face, and she turned and punched him. Other than that, we haven't seen that. However, we have already seen counter-protesters down the other way on Van Dyke, and here we have these protesters here coming through. As we said, 7 o'clock was when they expected to march. They're already marching. They're expecting more people to join them. We'll be here the entire evening to see how it goes and what happens between these protesters and the people out here to support the police. We're in Shelby Township. Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
You bet, Jason. All right, more on that coming up later. Governor Whitmer responding tonight to President Trump's threat to send federal law enforcement into cities despite largely peaceful protests in many of them.
This comes after the president praised federal agents' response to Black Lives Matter protesters in Portland, Oregon. In a statement, Whitmer says, quote, "Quite frankly, the president doesn't know the first thing about Detroit. If he did, he would know that for nearly 2 months now, Detroiters have gathered to peacefully protest the systemic racism and discrimination that Black Americans face every day. There is no reason for the president to send federal troops into a city where people are demanding change peacefully and respectfully."
This was the scene this morning in Kissimmee, Florida, as Rick Wershey left a halfway house, the final step in a bid for freedom lasting 3 decades. Rick Wershey holds the dubious distinction of being the longest-serving nonviolent juvenile offender in the history of Michigan. Now he'll try to put all that behind him, from the mistakes he made as a teenager in the drug trade to the mistake that he made as an adult that lengthened his prison sentence. Defender Sean Lay has been talking with people close to Wershey about his plans, about why he's returning to Michigan. Sean, he actually doesn't have a choice in that, though, does he?
Absolutely. In a car right now, as you just saw, leaving Florida on his way back here, driving back to Metro Detroit. His attorney says he has to be here by Thursday. He'll explain why. We also asked him if he planned on returning to the city of Detroit, where he has such a history, and this is the answer. But not the city of Detroit. He's staying away.
No, there's no reason. I've talked to him about this on more than one occasion, and he tells me there is no reason for him to be south of Hall Road.
The local 4 defenders speaking with longtime Rick Wershey attorney Ralph Musilli the moment the man known as White Boy Rick walked into Freedom in Florida this morning. Wershey jumping into an SUV with his girlfriend, and he's driving right back to Metro Detroit, the place where Wershey became known as White Boy Rick, as a federal drug informant, then drug dealer, then the longest serving juvenile offender in state history. Rick Wershey telling the local 4 defenders over the years that he got a raw deal.
I'm not the person I was made out to be. I did some bad things, but it was a life that I was pushed into. And the second half of my life, I'm going to do some good with it.
Why is Wershey coming back here?
Well, he's got to be back by Thursday.
Why does he have to be back by Thursday?
Because that's what he's still on parole here in Michigan.
Also, getting away from a lifetime of prison food has always been a topic of conversation. Did he mention food to you over the course of the time that he actually wanted to go have something nice to eat?
Yeah, he did. It was kind of cute. He called me and he asked me, he said, "Have you ever heard of Chick-fil-A?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "Wow, that's really good food."
Back here live. Okay, so Rick Wershey getting Chick-fil-A while he was on work release in Florida, clerking at a law firm. His attorney also points out, Kimberly and Devin, same crimes committed today, the sentencing guidelines would be 8 years in prison. If that was the case way back when, Rick Wershey would have been out at the age of 25. He's 51 years old today. We're live tonight. Sean Lake, Local 4 Defenders.
All right, Sean, such a long odyssey. So coming up, from phones to air travel to politics, we'll look at all that's changed during Wershey's 32 years behind bars. And for a look back at this saga, click at the top left of any clickondetroit.com page, or you'll find White Boy Rick at the bottom of the features column. That'll take you to our special page full of stories we've done on this story over the years, as well as a recent season of our Shattered podcast, which chronicles Rick Wershey's life and legal battles.
All right, well, on the heels of a rainy Sunday, this has been kind of a summer day that's easy to enjoy.
Yeah, pretty nice. Let's check in here with Ben. Nice forecast, a lot of 80s coming here, Ben.
We sure do, guys. And even though the 90s are not in our future, at least until the weekend and beyond that, these numbers are still going to have the ACs running, I think, in a lot of spots. We're at 83 right now, and that's coming off of a high temperature, just a few degrees warmer than that. Just look how cool things have gotten, though, there towards the Lake Huron shoreline. 77 in Sandusky, 75 in Port Huron, as that onshore breeze kind of cools things down. So maybe a little bit cooler there in parts of Sanilac County, but just about everybody else about 5 to 7 degrees warmer than we were on Sunday afternoon. So pleasant weather does continue this evening. Showers and thunderstorms, though, just around the corner tomorrow night. We'll look at the timing of that and the more humidity that's coming in with more heat this weekend. All that ahead in just a few minutes, guys. Don't forget to download the Local Forecasters app. It does have interactive radar, severe weather alerts, and a lot more, all in the palm of your hand. Download it for free in your app store by searching WDIV.
The state of Michigan continues to report several hundred new cases of COVID-19 each day. Another 489 tests have come back positive, and another 7 people have passed away since Sunday. We should note Monday numbers have tended to be lower than other weekdays. Here's hoping we can break that trend this week. As the COVID-19 numbers climb, pediatricians are growing increasingly concerned about the falling number of children receiving their childhood vaccines. As more children fall behind, the risk of other illnesses resurging becomes more serious here in Michigan and around the globe. The World Health Organization sounded the alarm, saying, quote, "The avoidable suffering and death caused by children missing out on routine immunizations could be far greater than COVID-19 itself." It's a sobering sentiment shared by Dr. Banu Kumar of DMC Children's Hospital of Michigan.
Protecting them from other nasty diseases is even more important during this pandemic.
The CDC found vaccination rates for children in Michigan have dropped more than 20% since March. As children began to leave their homes more, they're vulnerable to illnesses such as pertussis, measles, and more.
If they don't get their vaccinations in a timely manner, you are putting them at risk of contracting these diseases. Just because they're staying indoors and they're not going home, out of home, doesn't mean that they're protected, because they need to develop the antibodies to protect them against those diseases.
Kumar says protecting children from the flu will also be even more important with the dual threat of COVID-19.
much more critical that we get flu shots for ourselves and our children starting this fall.
Her advice for anyone with kids who've missed vaccines?
Call their doctors, find out how they can do it safely. Do not wait, because we don't know how long the wait is going to be.
Well, child visits have also fallen dramatically, down 50% by some estimates. That means other health issues may be going unnoticed. Pediatricians are urging parents to call their office and find out what safety precautions are in place.
We've got an update now on the story of a teenager sent to juvenile detention for a probation violation that basically boiled down to her not doing her homework. A judge rules that teen will not be going home just yet. Judge Mary Ellen Brennan says the teen is a threat to her mother and needs to complete a treatment program before she can go home. The teen's been in juvenile detention since May after violating probation, which was for assault and theft. But that violation was in part because she didn't do her online schoolwork. There have been protests about the case as some feel the teen is being discriminated against because she's black. Another hearing is scheduled, but it won't be until September.
High winds from Sunday's storms creating high drama in some neighborhoods as power lines and utility poles were ripped down. People in one Dearborn Heights neighborhood called Help Me Hank to investigate. Here's consumer investigator Hank Winchester.
Those storms moved in quickly, and as you can see here in this Dearborn Heights neighborhood, they did a lot of damage. Just take a look at this mess. Down lines all over this Dearborn Heights neighborhood, covering this man's cars.
Those are my cars right there, and we can't get out to do anything. My wife can't go to
rent a vehicle?
I already rented one vehicle, and I got to go back and rent the second vehicle.
The wild weather yesterday causing all of these issues.
We're just watching some TV, and I'm looking out my window, and next thing you know, here comes all the poles, and the grass ignited from the wires, and it fell on top of everything.
DTE crews were here last night putting up caution tape and bringing in a few new poles. I contacted DTE today, and within hours, crews were on the scene removing those dangerous lines. A spokesperson tells me the high winds caused more than 850 power lines to fall to the ground on trees and yards and on other items nearby, including vehicles. In addition, a total of 150,000 DTE customers lost power. We understand that being without power, not being able to access your vehicle is frustrating. We apologize for the inconvenience. If you yourself are still without power, make sure you notify DTE. They will let you know when crews are able to take care of your issue. I'm Hank Winchester. Help me, Hank.
All right, Hank. Up next here at 6, as we've been reporting, after 32 years, Rick Wershey, a free man. Up next, Steve Garagiola looks at some of the biggest changes that have taken place in the world while he was locked up.